growing up in Mexico, tell me what your childhood smelled like. If you could remember all the little smells from when you were younger in your childhood, give me some smells that you remember growing up and what the memories trigger for you.
Oh my God, there's so many memories that I think there was a little, let's say, store across the street that was just in the corner. These little things that are very very humble, and they were full of magazines, of newspaper, and a lot of gums, chewing gums. So the smell between the newspaper and the chewing gums, it was a lot for me. And I remember I was always wanted to go there, and the lady there was an very old lady, and she was very nice. And we sometimes we would stole the gums and then come back and pay.
Here's a little known fact about you that I believe it was off Broadway. You did something where you actually interpreted 14 different characters. Now, some actors these days, it's hard enough to play one character and remember the lines. How did you interpret 14 different characters, and what was that experience that you went through doing that?
Oh my God, Brian, that's been the biggest challenge in my entire career, everything, because it's hard to be a Mexican, and it's not my first language. English is not my first language, so it's really hard for me when I memorize as an actor. I'm very fast. I'm very good at memorizing, but in English, it's just a little bit more. I have to do a little bit more effort. So it was hard, but not the memorizing. It was a dealing with different characters, and it was a very intense play that talking about my country, awful things about my country. Unfortunately, the disappeared women and those feminist sides. It was really really hard, and I was exhausted every single night because it was very intense. And but it's been the biggest thing in my career and the biggest satisfaction I've ever had. I don't know if any other actresses, Mexican for sure not, have been in a stage, like in a monologue off Broadway. And it was I think after that I'm ready for everything. you know it was amazing. It was beautiful when I could hear the audience cry.
As an actress, how do you memorize lines? Because look, there was many moons ago I wanted to be an actor. I was on sets of some big stuff, but I was an extra. I wasn't quite to the level you were, or you are. How do you memorize your lines? Is there a technique that you specifically use?
I read it many times, and I want to make sure that I understand what I'm saying, and that's the first part. But then I record the others' characters, just the end, my cues, so I can just remember, and then I say mine, but very fast, so I can say it like really really fast. And once I know it perfectly well, then I start giving a little bit of shape here and tones and this and that, especially in English. In Spanish is another thing. In Spanish, for me, it's easier. Everything is easier.
So you're currently working on a short film at the moment, which is about violence against women. Have you ever experienced violence in your own life that would apply to, the advocate you are for women, and especially with the short film?
Yeah, unfortunately, yes, it was part of my first marriage, and I wrote that script long time ago. And now I'm doing the shorts because I want to film the feature film. But I want to start like this to be, I want it to be, I don't know, like an exercise for me as a first time director. And it's not that I want to become a director. Maybe it's not that. It's just I want to direct this story because it's mine, because I wrote it, because I was there. I know how it felt, and I know I'm going to be good at directing the actress that's going to be portraying, well, my younger me, and with another name, of course. But it's for me, it's important, and it's important because it's still going on. Nothing happens, and this was before Me Too, the movement Me Too, which was a very lonely passage. It was very lonely for me. After Me Too, things changed for the abused women, but at the end, nothing happens. That guy is still out there walking and working a lot, and nothing happens. But it's not that my story is important. There's so many other important stories, but I just think we have to speak up.
Being an actress in the industry right now, you had mentioned the Me Too movement. Were there a lot of experiences? We heard of the stories about Harvey Weinstein and things along those lines. Have you ever experienced something like that where a man expected you to do certain things for specific roles?
It's a very complicated situation. And I'm old school too. My father is an actor. Thank God that my father is a well-known actor and very respected. So that gave me like a shield, let's say, for me. But of course, they wanted to do some moves, one or other. And to be honest, I don't know till this day a woman that I know that hasn't been abused in one way or the other.
What I love most about you is that you're an entrepreneur. You're coming out with, I believe it's a tequila line. You also launch a very exclusive necklace. What are some of the similarities of being an actor to being an entrepreneur? And what are some of the differences from being an actor to being an entrepreneur and a businesswoman?
I'm gonna tell you the difference is that I'm much better actress than this woman. That's for sure. But I think I have this, I don't know, curiosities, and I love tequila. Tequila is part of my, my culture. And I love it. So I launched this like 10 years ago. It's called Honor Tequila, which is the same spelling and same meaning in English and Spanish. So I think it's great for an alcoholic beverage, to have honor when you drink. It starts and finish the night with honor. So I love it. It's a great tequila. I'm very proud of it. The liquid is beautiful. The bottle is beautiful, and it's a real tequila. I'm the only Mexican actress who owns a tequila. So this is the real thing.
During the time you played a cartel leader on television, was there ever a time where it was kind of difficult to shut that character off? And what I mean by that, let's say you go home and you get in an argument with someone, and instead of working it out amicably or calmly, you start thinking about how to bury the individual, right? Um, is there was it ever hard to shut that character off when you went home in your real life?
Yes, I'm not the kind of actress. I'm an actress. I'm old school, as I said, and my I don't know. My school is I after they say cut, and this is a wrap, and then I leave my character there and I go home with only me and myself. There's some similarities between you and the characters we play, and that's why I think they call you specifically to play that certain character, to lend your body and your voice to that character, even though it's not you. So there's a lot of similarities in different ones. And yes, with La Reina del Sur is the name of the show you're talking about, the Queen of the South. So I have a couple of similarities. They both do drink tequila.
Do you have any favorite gangster shows or cartel shows here in the USA, like Sopranos or Ozarks or Breaking Bads? What are some of your favorites, and what are the things you like about them, or any similarities you see between yours and theirs?
All of the above I love. I mean, and Wildland I just watched, it's just amazing everything they do also, which is really funny too, and it's for me, that's something that we unfortunately have in Mexico. I don't want to be portraying all the time that, because the stereotypes here also are really bad, and bad and also stupid. Well, so we're much more than that, but I love those. I mean, Ozark I think is very very funny, and the characters, I mean, but the Soprano is the father of all of them. Yeah.
Yes, I'm a big mafia enthusiast, as Reese knows, so that's why we were excited to get you on. And if you look at my office upstairs, it's all mafioso stuff. And to be honest with you, Kate, it's not about the murder and the killing and the drug. It's about somebody starting from nothing and rising to the top. That's what inspires me. It has nothing to do with, I want to go out and kill. It's all about starting from nothing. If you remember the old 1920s gangs, these guys came over from Italy with absolutely nothing, and they rose to great heights. So that's the motivation.
Nope. I totally agree with you, and I love them too. As an audience, I love them, and I love doing them too. But it's crazy. They come from nothing, as you said. But there has to be someone who helps them, and that I love. How do they get there? Is because everybody's corrupted at some point, especially with that kind of money. It's just crazy. It's so much fun.
Sean Penn recently released a movie on TV with Benicio and Leonardo DiCaprio, so I see him floating around. Every time I see him, it makes me think of the documentary you did, and we actually just rewatched it prior to this interview. Is there still any ill will against him with that particular situation with El Chapo?
I mean, for me, he's just not I don't even think about him. I don't care about him. He did so much harm to me, and he was horrible. So, for me, whatever. I mean, I see he's a great actor for sure. And I'm waiting to see this new movie, not because of him, because of Leonardo DiCaprio. But there's not much I can say about him. Only that he did wrong with me, very very bad, and he put me in a huge risk, with my entire life. So that's this despicable.
After all these years, has El Chapo from prison ever tried to reach out to you? And if he did, would you reply back after all this time and everything that's happened?
No, so he's in a well, as far as I know, he is totally alone. He is in solitary confinement. He cannot talk to anybody anymore since I don't know how many years now. But no, I've never heard from him again or from his lawyers. Never again. And I'm okay with that. It was really, really hard. It was 2 or 3 years that were very bad for me. So I'm done with that.
Right. So if you were to get some random letter by him, there would be no thought in your head that you'd want to reply back to it and kind of tell him how everything went down.
He knows exactly how everything went down. In a moment, I thought that he thought that maybe I turned him in, or it was my fault that he got caught. That was not my intention. I'm not a police officer. I'm not the government. I was just going for the rights of his life, of his so that was my intention. I'm a cinematographer. I love telling stories. That's my life. And I thought these three planning on doing the same thing, but they had their own agenda, that I was not aware of. And I just wanted to do a movie. And so now, and now he's in jail. And by the way, when we started, he was still in jail. So that was the whole idea, that we would, bring a screenwriter there, and he telling everything. But well, everything went down and wrong and whatever. And then I knew that it was not the intention of neither Sean Penn or the other two producers. So, and now I'm not interested. I don't want to be in that world anymore. And yeah, I'm not interested anymore.
I loved your role in Bad Boys Ride or Die with Will Smith and Martin Lawrence. I'm a big fan of that franchise. I've seen them all. What was your experience like working with Will Smith and Martin Lawrence? And what were your thoughts after? I don't know if you remember this, but he went on stage and actually smacked Chris Rock, and it almost ended his career, but he made an incredible comeback. He's a very inspirational figure. What was your thoughts after you saw that? How you processed that information?
You know, First of all, it was an amazing experience because there were people reads where they actually heard me, everything that I said, everything that I wanted to say, and they wanted my help because he was a Mexican, of course, character, and they were going to film in Mexico, so they wanted it to be very real. So they were listening to me, and actually, part of the script where I am on the Mexican thing is a part of things that I told them, and I think that's amazing. On the other hand, it's just this huge, big movies of so much money, that is interesting how they work. Is very different from the indie movies I do, or So it was really interesting. It was a little bit boring because they are so big that it's all green screen, and I want to be there in the action and this and that, and so. But it was a lot of fun. Both of them are amazing. I knew Will from before, so he asked me. He's like, "Oh, there's a character. You have to audition, please." No, 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 no. Like, of course I will. So he was a friend before, and it was amazing to work with him. So I'm very pleased with that. And the movie did amazing. And regarding what you said about the smack, I couldn't believe it. For me, that's not him at all. That's not who he is. And it's the same thing that happened with me, with El Chapo. It's like now I'm gonna be, known as the one who went to see El Chapo. I'm much more than that, you know. And it's same with Will. He's not only that person. He had, you know, I don't know, something happened and it happened like that, but that's not who he is. And we cannot, just think of him like that because he's an amazing person.
Obviously you were a child actor. You've been in the industry for, I mean, since you were what, 10 years old, maybe even before that. Was there any experiences that you went through as a child actor that almost pushed you away from not becoming an actor? Because if you hear the stories in America of child actors, they're usually bad. They get into drugs and alcohol, partying, and some of them get lucky and get through it, and then others, they become forgotten talents. Is there anything that almost pushed you away from that world?
No, I started with my dad. So my dad, as I said, is very well known and very well respected and loved. So I think that was very good for me as a child actor. And by the way, when I was a child, it was mostly with him. So I was pretty much protected. He's a very active guy. And then when on my teens, I was already working, and my dad didn't want me to be an actor because exactly he just said, he was like, I don't want you to be contaminated. I remember that word, contaminated with by this, thing, and by the industry and drugs and this and that. And I think he gave me so many values and principles that for me, it was I never touched a drug when I was young. I did later. But not when I was a minor, or actually very in my 30s, I tried drugs and this and that, but not before. And my dad didn't want me to be an actor because he said he didn't want me to live out of rejection, which is what we are, actors. We live out of rejection. I didn't understand that before. Now I do.
As you know, AI has become so huge in society today. Do you feel like, as an actress, that AI could one day ever replace your job?
Of course, I think very menacing. It's very menacing, but I think nothing can change what a human is. Now AI can also say, well, I'm more intelligent than you, that you created me. So probably it's gonna come back to us in a very bad way. I don't want to be negative, but it's kind of scary. It's and unfortunately there are the bad people out there who uses technology and amazing stuff to create bad things, or do wrong. So that's what's scary.
Yeah, I hope it gets to the point where if they ever do use AI for actors and actresses, at the very least, maybe years down the line when they pass away and they bring back their likeness, that, the family still gets residuals or they're involved and they can't just take your name, image, and likeness and specifically use it.
I totally agree. When I'm done out of this world, I would love for someone to make a movie with my face. It's amazing, but it can go back to my nephew or my sister or someone in my family.
Now, I'm not sure if you saw over the last few years, obviously, with the movie Rust with Alec Baldwin, how he ended up shooting somebody on set. You handle a lot of guns on set. How do they prevent something like that from happening? What's the real process? Because when I was looking at the blame online, who everyone was blaming, some people said it's not Alec Baldwin's fault, it's the gun handler's fault, but then there's a supervisor. What's the process like when it comes to holding a gun? Have you ever experienced any problems on set with a gun?
Many. I had many problems. I won't. And once it slipped the gun, and I was shaking, and it slipped the gun, and I was sweaty, and there was a little bit of pólvora. I don't know how to say that. The thing that lasts there, because we don't use, of course, regular bullets, but there's something there that to make it do the sound, and it was still there, and it was the back of the actor, and I burned him really bad. It was horrible, but it was not my mistake. And again, because an actor always has to check the magazine, always. No. And
So it is the actresses or the actor's job to check the magazine when they're handed.
you have to check the magazine with the person who's handing you the gun to check it. And if you are the one who's pointing, you have to check it. If you are the one who's being pointed at, you check it twice. But let me tell you something. Sometimes actors, we are in so many things. For me, the job was not well done or not done from the AD, the first AD, because he's the one who is in charge of the set. So he is the one at the end who has to go and verify that it's empty. And I don't think he did, because it wouldn't have happened. So it's so many things, it's hard to blame someone. It's just the one in charge is the first AD.
Right. You don't feel like he would be responsible for what happens. I personally don't believe he was responsible. I mean, that's just my opinion.
No, I totally agree, because I'm telling you, I personally, and I'm crazy with that, especially because of all of the accidents. But you have to check it. But as I said, sometimes they just give it to you, and you of course you rely on the first AD and on the guys who are handling the guns, the experts, and this and that, and you can do it without checking. Sometimes happens because you trust these people. So I don't think it was his fault at all.
If you can get rid of one thing that has become very normal in Hollywood, what do you think that one thing would be?
Oh my God. With with this president, everything is being normalized. The most horrible things have been normalized. Now that they shut down Jimmy Kimmel, now he's back and all that. For me, it's like giving me a smack on the face, like just stopping my liberty, my freedom. That's why I came to this country in the first place. And now I'm like, oh my God, suddenly I cannot speak up. Like, this is so crazy. So I think in Hollywood, what about Hollywood? I went to another.
Well, it does apply because of the Jimmy Kimmel thing. Yeah. So
Does apply, but I think stereotypes. I still struggle as a Latina, as a Mexican Latina, and with all the roles that they offer me, and it's just a fight every time, That's why I created my own company, my own production company, because I was like, I don't want to do this, but I need to work, So I am gonna try to find my own jobs, because it's still stereotyped. We're still objectified. We're still sexualized, so and we're much more than that. We are not only the maids. We're not only the prostitutes. We are all that too. We're more than that.
if I'm not mistaken, you became a U.S. citizen in 2015, correct?
Yes.
Congratulations, by the way. You just have mentioned the current administration. What do you feel about some of the things that are happening now with these ICE raids and them targeting specific individuals, trying to get them out the country? Do you feel like it's been fairly treated? Because everyone has opinions on both sides of the coin.
No, I think it's deplorable. I think it's horrible, because there are ways and ways, and I totally understand if they're criminals. Nobody wants criminals. Nobody wants criminals anywhere. But the way that they are doing this is inhuman. They're like not human at all. It's really, really bad. And they are very violent. They are covering their faces, cowardly. They don't tell you who they are. They don't have even badges. It's really bad. And I have a lot of people that work for me that are illegal people, and I care for them, and I care for their lives. And they couldn't, plus all the money that they create to the United States is crazy. So I don't understand. And I understand if you're a criminal, as I said, but no, they don't even ask. They don't even know who they are. They don't even, they're good people and working people, because that's why we came into this country in the first place, to find a better life. So what they're doing is, it's really devastating. It's terrible.
As a businesswoman, as an entrepreneur, outside of acting, what has made you the most money so far, outside of everything you've done in the acting space?
Oh my God, nothing. No, really. I'm telling you, I'm not a good businesswoman. I intend that in a few years they can come back to me, But honestly, what have given me the most is my career. It's my work. So the tequila is going there, it's out there in that. But everything I'm reinvesting. So
right,
it's so no, I think I'm gonna keep acting.
what are some ventures that you do want to do outside of acting? I know you just said you want to stick to acting, but if there's anything that you could do outside of acting, whether it be, on the entrepreneur side, the business side, what ventures do you think you'd wade into?
Well, I actually I'm wearing this necklace.
Okay.
It is a thousand pieces with my name here and my autograph, my signature on the back. And so this is a very cool because it goes back to again abused women, and I love it. It's only a thousand pieces. So this kind of things I think they're great. I love, as I said, tequila. I love the sports. So I'm trying to launch something with sports. I'm looking around because I think it's great. I mean, the sports are great, and I do work out all day, not all day, every day. I mean, and I love that. So I don't know. I think whatever is honest is good. And even helping, even giving away, and doing charity, it has to be the charity that really relates to you, in order to make it honest.
You've already had an immensely long career. How long do you want to be acting for? Do you want to be one of those actresses that are acting till 90 years old until they drop dead on set? Or how long do you want to stay in the game for?
Absolutely. As long as my body is coming with me, is accompanying me, because that's all I know. And I love it. I know I want to, as I said, I'm going to be directing too, but always on the same. I think it's fascinating what I do. There's not one day the same as the other one. You meet so much people, amazing people. You travel, this and that. So I want to be an actress till the end of my day. I want to die on set.